Welcome back to Trekyards, everyone. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Cognizant, and you've once again joined us in the future. We travel all the way forward again. It's been a little while, been in the present for a nice safe while, but now, no, we've catapulted all the way into the future.
The 32nd century. And it should be said that this is, we're going to have an overlook of all of this stuff, but eventually we're going to do each one individually. But we just got an image released not that long ago.
Yep, this is from the next Eagle Moss book. They've done A to Z of Klingons, of Delta Quadrant, of Alpha Quadrant, and most of the time it's just reusing stuff from the previous magazines, although in some cases it shows you stuff not actually in anything yet. And in this case, they have these pages in front of all the different subsets. And boom, here we go. All of the ships in one go, which certainly means all their 3D models have all been converted and ready to go. And okay, as if we've been waiting to see them all, and now here we are, the smorgasbord, the buffet, the glutton of, oh, right, what's first? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be so underwhelmed, honestly. There's a few here that really are cool. Other ones, not so much. But, I mean, there's even a stapler. On the left-hand side, that's a stapler, clearly.
Some of these ships will already come to Star Trek Online, and they will come to later. I'm sure when they do more, we'll look at those. But it's so you're underwhelmed. What I take away from this is the color palette is so minimalist, and obviously I know the lighting here is meant to be sort of just like a generic, like everything's lit up. They're so one note in terms of color, and it's all just generic plate. If you took away that one repeating plate texture from all of them, they'd be almost just cream white for a lot of it.
Honestly, most of them look like they belong in a Galaxy Quest or an Orville fleet. Like, yeah. And I know it's the future in the 32nd century, and people are going to be like, you can't expect things to look the same in the 32nd century. And I get that. But,
see, I think I like every one of these designs in one way or another. But that's going the caveat of as a design, not so much as a Trek design. But,
yes.
Some of these are probably going to be Andorian designs, whatever. It's super future. You can do whatever you want. So I think, at least I'm mildly pleased. But we knew, obviously we have obviously analysed these to no end. We've looked, we've kept our eyes to the grindstone, or nose to the grindstone. So these aren't surprising images, as much as just cleanly visible. And certainly the Voyager is nice to see. We only see the Eagle Moss version, but we can see they did make a good parallel because all the details are here. So it's more just about sort of, okay, here we go. So there's no surprises here, really.
I mean, the one that surprised me a little bit was the one right behind Voyager, between Voyager and the Nog, and or the Eisenberg class. And that's it looks like Lando Calrissian's Millennium Falcon with the escape pod with some floating nacelles beside it. An interesting enough design. I don't like, and I know people have said this, I don't like that it detached nacelles. I get that it's future, it's fine. We've explained it away as it's fine for the future tech improvement. However, looking at a ship like that, it bugs me. It bugs my eye. I just wish if those were connected via struts, that would be a cool looking ship, in my opinion. But as it's separated like that, not so much. Like, is that how they separate when they come out of warp? If they attach for warp, I want to see that version. I want to see them attached because I think that would look a lot cooler, in my opinion.
Well, I think it's likely that was just a hybrid version for Discovery, whereas normally when they're fresh built this way, they don't connect. But when they're, because Discovery's a refit rather than a fresh build, so it can all be utilised fully. If you look at the Thant, yes, it's Thant NCC 235005, the Endor variant. If you look at the window detail is sort of not existent, and yet in the middle you see there's kind of like the droid gunship in Phantom Menace. There's lots of stuff in there. Although now, as soon as you now see it in connection with the back pieces, they've just cloned the same texture detail, model detail, so it's just stuff, really. I don't feel a sense of thought there, and it being so smooth and so lack of windows, because these are big ships. These aren't like that's a lot of hull being unutilized. Just the window scale feels odd, and the lack of livable people-ness. It all feels very sterile. When you look at the Enterprise D and E, the windows play a nice part. You see it, understand it. These all feel kind of lackluster to the nth degree. And then the one at the top, which kind of looks like bones, there were like some windows, and then maybe some windows in the arms, but it's all just nothing. It's just And yes, obviously you could argue maybe the windows are inside the hull and just they go transparent, but then why have normal windows?
The Andor one I thought I'd like a lot more because I'm really a big fan of the Andor one. Looking at this, why are the warp nacelles so long and just warp chiller grills? I know, but look at some of the other ones have much smaller. It just that if for a ship of that era, you think they'd be smaller, just like the last little bit of the engine, and have that whole area being used by livable space. Or
You say that, but Voyager has tiny nacelles, Enterprise E has giant nacelles, and Voyager's arguably maybe faster.
it's true. That is true. Um,
But it still strikes me as bizarre that the Nog has basically just Discovery nacelles 800 years later. I mean, they're almost all the same. No other engine design survived except the Discovery ones. The one ship that was classified and retconned out inside the universe, those nacelles continued, but every other ship has weird nacelles.
I mean, the ring ship closest to the bottom looks cool, but it looks like an aerobie or a frisbee. Like, it's just I don't understand the negative space. I need that explained to me. Like, why is that a thing that needs to be there? I know it looks cool, and it actually looks. You know what it looks like? It looks like a modern day stadium from the air. You could definitely put like a green football field or something in the middle of that.
Well, I mean, if you look at these ships, you know, four of them have negative space,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not including the between the pylons and the whatever. They just don't want to. I mean, it definitely gives them more interesting shape, and obviously you've got the difference between the empty space, negative space of the ring, and then you've got the negative space but filled up with space of the Armstrong, with it being all this connective geometry. It's like, what looks better? I don't know. And you got the flat of the other one.
Yeah, the Armstrong doesn't impress me either with the straps on it. Just
That was your favourite one, Stuart.
Was it though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because people saying that was the Miranda or the Constitution. That's what it was. So it was the most closest to it, but it's the
I
Armstrong.
never agreed with that though.
Oh no, but you like the design most because you thought it was most faithful.
Well, because we never saw it.
Oh sure, I'm just.
But the one right behind that one looks just like a vertebrae. Like you said, you said bones earlier, and I don't know which one specifically you were referring to. So that one I'm not impressed with. Like the Nog is pretty cool, pretty neat design, but it seems almost more like it would be like a speedboat or like, you know, something like that, something in the water for sure.
If you saw it as a space cruise liner in say Picard season 1, you'd be like, okay, it's a civilian cruise liner.
Yeah,
That's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to there. There's nothing. It's like if you said the top right one was like a Tellarite cruiser, or you're like, okay, yeah, sure, make it different color, yeah.
and yeah, that top right one almost looks like it should be turned the other way. Like the back of that should be the front.
You have said that before as well. I kind of like it going the opposite way, but
Kind of looks like a sunfish.
yes.
He's got the same kind of shapes.
Well, there's
but-
lots of like organic vibes here. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the Nog feels like an organic-ish animal. I mean, they're at least they're all distinct. Give them
Yes.
credit for that. But I would be shocked if most of these are Imperial's top 100 ships. It doesn't help the lack of physical detail. Agreeably's tech. I mean, they obviously haven't designed how the weapons work. What are the phases? What are the torpedoes? They've said these words so that we know they still have quantums even in this timeline.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no sense of where anything fires from. There's no shuttle bays. I mean, maybe they're recessed, but you arguably like the TOS Enterprise a little bit, although it had a few more things. There's just they didn't want to finish them; they just wanted to show them.
Yeah, but I'm kind of surprised by the texturing they got on them and some of the lines within the black. Like if you look at the Nog, you could say like there's some good line work there, and then what are probably windows. I'm actually surprised by that because I didn't expect such detail. Actually,
Well, I mean, I was speaking as someone who does texture things. They
Yes,
just
I
slapped
know.
a plate texturing on. It takes minutes to UV. I mean, it's the simplest thing you can do. It's literally is the no effort, and you can see it. You can even see the repeating pattern. And so yes,
Yeah.
they cut into the hull and added some luminosity parts, but that's like again a little bit of time. It's odd how almost the most detailed ship is this one-off black ship at the bottom, or the bottom left. That's almost got more physical details. I
stapler.
do remember that flying throughout the show, but
I
obviously
don't though. That's weird.
well, it was black in a black space. I mean, I do remember it flying, but again, if you look at it, they've got details in just sense they've cut into the hull on the side. There isn't any details at all. I mean, it's very odd.
One thing I do like is, especially on this ring ship at the bottom here, the USS Annan. is the red striping that they have around the whole ring. I mean, that looks really cool, and that ties in with a lot of other stuff we've seen, even like for Starfleet battles and stuff, where they put the red striping on the hull of the TOS ships.
They've all got pennants. They've all got, you know, they've got the nod of the hat of what should be there. The Regis are all up front. They've all got the pinstripes and the deltas. Although it's weird. The Nog has a delta which is a solid TNG looking delta, whereas the one on the Voyager J has a split hull Discovery looking delta in the pennant, and the Armstrong has no pennants at all, as if there's no consistency. Oh, and neither does the Fant. It's as if they haven't actually connected them all.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing these names too. The USS Jabaya or Jabire. I don't know. So, like, what did you think when you first saw these, though? Like, were you impressed or underwhelmed, or?
Well, as we've seen in the show, just they're plain white with basic, you know, texturing that takes minutes. At least they're memorable designs. But then I say that, and you got, like I said, you use a stapler. You've got a mouse pad with 4 nacelles. It's a simple shape, but yeah, they all do strike a striking note. Even if the striking note is it's really simple with a thing. I just wish they had truly designed a unifying aesthetic to the weapons and to the windows scale and to the, you know, something that feels more full on. Obviously, that said, the fact they had to bring us, you know, what, like 9 ships in one season, that's impressive. That said, Voyager did the same, sometimes like 18 ships in one season and space stations on less money, with less render power, with less graphics cards. So I'm not going to necessarily give them credit for doing 9 in one season, given they also did Battle of the Binary Star, but that wasn't their team anyway, it was a different team. And those models are certainly in much higher detail than these models, but that was not done by these people. Some of those people worked on the first season previous team were Star Trek, real like big Star Trek fans, legitimately, that I know some of them, and actually put in real high-end detailing. These models are mid-level at best. And I only say mid because they're nice, smooth hull, but I mean, I know modelers that could knock any one of these out in no time at all, and full texturing. Not to give discredit, that's a style, but you know, you'd hope this would show out those details that you couldn't see in the show, those logical additional things.
I just zoomed in on the Millennium Falcon one with the 4 nacelles, and could it be said it's the Cerritos of the group because it's got the registry number on the back of the hull? It does have a small one on the front. I'll give it that, but it's loud and proud on the back.
Now, my next question to you, though, do you think this is to scale?
I think it is. The only thing that I think might be out of scale would be the top, like the rainforest ship.
Well, that looked huge in the show, though.
It did, but that's why I think it's not in scale.
Oh, you mean it was bigger? Right, I get it. Because that one, I don't call that a ship. It's just clearly well, we don't want a holodeck, we want a real forest. It's not a ship. Yes. It's not a...
I think the other ones, if this is to scale, I have no issues with that. I think that's perfectly fine. Except I think the Armstrong should be maybe a little bit bigger than the Voyager.
To me as well. And then probably the top. I mean, as has someone who's done these sorts of renders as well, it's all about aesthetically how they place. Because obviously, and even like putting a small ship near the camera, you know, like I can't necessarily imagine that black ship is going to be that big. It's just being pulled close to camera. So I think the big ships are close to scale, but I think the small ones, I do not think for a second that seed ship on the top is the same size as. So I think the big ones possibly, and certainly the Voyager and the Armstrong probably closer. Although that tells me that the Armstrong's smaller, so probably not. Although we will get a scale chart in the book, and I look forward to seeing the book and seeing the design prints, because this is it's a whole book that goes from 2249 to the future, updated and expanded, and that'll cover the Voyager J, the Discovery refit, the Gen Hay, etc. So that'll be all the new stuff.
Yeah, and I look forward to that book as well. I also look forward to looking at these individually so we can kind of break them down a little bit more detailed for you guys. In the meantime, guys, I guess put your comments down below what you thought about this when you first saw it, which is your favorite ship here, and just your general thoughts. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that cool stuff that you guys like to do, like ringing the bell. You know you like to do that. It's fun. Ding, 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 ding. You want to get notified when we do lives and stuff, because new Trek's coming up. We got a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be looking at, and like I said, we're going to get breakdowns of these ships as well. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you get notified.
And it is the future. You know, the whole new art design. There's so much. You know, it isn't just a ship and a saucer repeated, etc. So let us know what you think. And obviously, if you've got a favourite here, let us know. If you've got a least favourite, let us know. And if you want to go back to our first reactions, do go back at the time when they were dark and in moody, and I was doing AI enhanced, and now they're here. Could you ever imagine just get all like 9 right here, fresh, clean HD. It's like, oh wow, wouldn't that have been easier, 9 months ago?
Absolutely. So yeah, make sure you guys join us for lives, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, he's Commander Cockings.
Oh, and he's had a Foley guy to get me out there.
I did. See you guys in the future.